All right, let's call this meeting to order. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to come out to this meeting today. Obviously, this is the first meeting that I am chairing as Executive Director of MINORML. My name is Reverend Stephen B. Thompson. I'm from Benzonia, Michigan. For those of you that might not know me, but I think I know just about everybody in this room. I wanted to start the year 2008 off just a little differently, and with me being this my first meeting, I think it very appropriate that we take, by opening this meeting, that we take a moment to just be silent and think about those people that have sacrificed before us or have ultimately given their lives to move an end to marijuana prohibition forward. So if we could just give a moment of silence with a bowed head. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the rest of our board. I have our Executive Vice President here, our Executive Director, George Sherfield. And this is our Secretary Treasurer, Christine Landino.
Hi, everybody.
Down here we have Lou Verling, our Membership Director. We have our Sergeant at Arms, Don Barnes. Hello. And we have Melody Carr from Music as a board member, my navigator, and our legal counsel, Matt Abel.
Don't forget Carol.
And Carol, where are you? That's why Carol's not here. Carol Reed, board member Carol Reed. You're supposed to be up here, Carol. Get up. Okay. Do you all have an agenda of the meeting?
No.
We didn't pass out.
Yeah, they're on the back table back there.
Okay, well, we're going to follow the agenda the best we can. Next in line is to give a brief explanation of a board meeting that 8 of us held here on December 15th here at the Ann Arbor Comfort Inn. All 7 board members were present. Our legal counsel was present. 2 of the things that we wanted to work on with this board meeting, which by the way, according to our bylaws, the board is to have an annual meeting a year, so we fulfilled that obligation back in 2007, December 15th. And 2 of the things that we wanted to work on was we wanted to review our bylaws, see if we wanted to make any changes to them, if we wanted to add to them, or if they were okay just the way they were. I'm happy to say that we voted on our bylaws to stay just as they were, and it was unanimous approval. The other thing that we touched on was we wanted to see MINORML have a mission statement. And there were several ideas of mission statements offered up, and we finally settled on one mission statement, and I'm happy to say again that we unanimously settled upon this mission statement. And at this time, George, if you would read the mission statement. This is MINORML's mission statement.
MINORML's mission is to move public opinion sufficiently to achieve the repeal of marijuana prohibition so that the responsible use of cannabis by adults is no longer subject to penalty, including asset forfeiture, and to allow industrial hemp to be produced and marketed by Michigan farmers.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, at this time we're going to ask our Secretary Treasurer, Christine Landino, to give the Treasurer's report.
The board has in front of them the treasurer's report in your package. It shows one, your bank statement, which matches. You have 2 sheets. It's your balance sheet, which on the second sheet you will see that we have only $30.73 in our legal account at this time. So we had to subtract that from what our actual credits and debits were. And as you see on your thick piece, the one that has 8 pages, that on our bank statement we have $1,036.71 according to our records, and according to the bank we have the same amount of money. So we're right to the penny. And hopefully, I know you guys got your PDFs and had a chance to go over them. There is the balance sheet should be back there for anybody that wants to take a look at it, just to see a brief accounting of how we've been spending our money that you've been so nicely donating and generously giving to us throughout the years. Thank you. So at this point, I guess it's make a motion on whether you guys agree to these as being the official records for the Treasury for 2007.
And incidentally, I might add, when the motions are made, we're going through the business part of the meeting right now, and you are here to observe us. So this, once the motion is made and seconded, it will be voted on by us, 7 board members.
I make a motion that we approve the bank statement report.
Second.
Motion has been made by Carol, seconded by Lou. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And fundraiser? We got the approval for the minutes. Okay, we need final approval for the mission statement and bylaws, which I'll make a motion for the approval of the mission statement and the bylaws as was discussed at the December 15th meeting, in which you all have a copy of. And there was only the one change from that word contendere on line 129, I think it was, and it should have been conferences, and that was changed. So.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Donald Barnes, seconded by Carol Reed. All in favor signifying by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, now we're off to the fundraising.
Fundraisers for Michigan NORML for 2008. Well, obviously, one of our biggest fundraisers is the Michigan NORML booth, but it's not the biggest. What I want to encourage you on, our biggest fundraiser is also helpful and healthy for Michigan NORML, and that is to entertain new members. Also to keep the members that we have by them renewing their dues. I think this is one of the biggest fundraisers that we can come across. And I do know, since we are talking about this, I apologize, as this is my first meeting. I accidentally overlooked Lou Verling to give the membership report. So I'm going to ask Lou if you would give your membership report at this point, and that you would also explain about the membership and how general members can help to increase our membership. Lou?
Oh, thank you very much, Steve. I'm going to try to remember that the soul of wit is brevity. So it's going to be a very short report. We currently have 166 members paid up in good standing. That's a little lower than it's been recently. We really haven't been putting a lot of effort into recruiting, so there's been little or no recruiting done this year. I'm hoping that's going to be quite different next year. The other thing I'd like to mention to you is that one of the best things you can do to help this organization grow is to recruit a friend or two and get them to join. If each person here would recruit one friend, that would double our numbers. So if you're looking for something to do this year to help the cause of drug law reform, find a friend or two that believes in the cause and see if you can't get them to sign up. We'd certainly like some more members. And that's about it for membership report. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to also add that I'm going to assist Lou in this, okay, so that y'all know that. So if your card, if you get a membership card in the mail or something that's screwed up, I'm probably the guy that did it, so. Just so you know that, in case your name's misspelled or something, so. I'm sorry, I apologize in advance if there's any problems. But let us know and we'll get it fixed, okay?
All right. Do we...
Were we going to hold a meeting the night before yesterday?
Okay. I want you to think, if you have any ideas for fundraisers, this is something that you could possibly put
I have one.
put in when we have membership questions and answers. Okay, George?
Pass the hat.
Pass the hat?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We will pass the hat before the meeting's over.
Before it's over. Oh, I thought we were going to do it now.
Oh, well, do it now.
We're on the topic now, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We are on the topic of
Right while
fundraising.
the iron is hot.
So yes, we will pass the hat. Oh, also, we haven't passed this yet, have we? Okay.
Sign engineers. You have time?
While you're doing that, George, we're going to hand around a sheet here. We'd appreciate each and every one
I'll
signing
start this in a
in.
different place when I'm
And
running
let us
with
know if
this,
you're a
okay?
Michigan Normal member
so-
or not. But pass that around, make sure everybody gets to sign it, so that we all know who was here today.
Thank
Well, while George is doing that, next we need to decide if we're going to have a meeting the night before Hash Bash. That would be the first Friday of April. Do we really need to have a meeting this year before the Hash Bash? What do you would like?
What do you all think? Would you like to have a meeting before the Hash Bash? We normally do. It's an
Anytime
opportunity
you
to
can
get
get us all
together.
together, more support for you.
You
You
know,
pass the hat again.
yeah.
Anytime you can get us all together.
It gives us an opportunity, like you were saying, to get together as a
Right.
group. Kind of serves as a purpose to get people to come here and get ready for the next day. I know Charlie likes the opportunity for volunteers. He can maybe get face to face with some of the volunteers to help out with Hash Bash at that time. So personally, I would say I think it's important. That's just my viewpoint. What do you
How do
think?
the other board members feel on this?
Lou?
I agree.
Okay. Then do we need to make that in the form of a motion, or do we just go ahead and schedule a meeting?
Do you think it's better to have the meeting the day before or the day of Hash Bash when everybody's actually here at Hash Bash?
I'll speak on that. Actually, I think it's good to have it on Friday evening. I know it can be a hindrance for some people that work on Friday. However, and it's usually Melody and I, we're up like 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. We're setting up the Michigan Normal booth because that's one of my functions besides being exec. And by the time we get through a day on Monroe Street, I don't know if I could stay awake during a meeting.
Also, Friday evenings is a good time to plan things, the last minute details for the Hash Bash.
Right, absolutely. So then it's definitely
I
decided.
also
I'll get
think
a
it's
member out here.
necessary.
Sorry.
And
Go ahead, sir.
I'll have more to talk about. I mean, because I'll be trying to organize as best I can at the University of Michigan for it. So I'll bring up what I can at the meeting the night before.
Wonderful.
Let everyone know the status.
Okay. All right.
Is there anyone that disagrees with that?
Would it be here?
It will be here. We will have our meeting the first Friday of April, and I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I don't know what that date is.
The fourth. It's
The
fourth.
fourth?
Friday is fourth.
Okay, meeting will be held here on the 4th of April, and what time do we want to make it? Later in the evening, early?
4:20.
4:20.
4:20?
It's hard
Is that
for
going to
some
hinder
people to
people?
get
Better
there.
make it-
Is that going to hinder people that
4:20
are
and bring
working?
food.
It'd be easier.
There are
it'd be
seats
better
up
if
front.
you had it in the evening.
Yeah, in the evening people can come.
The people that work during the
We
day.
could do 4:20 and have pizza.
Well, actually, I'm thinking about the people that have to work.
Yeah,
And
then
I
maybe-
want to make sure that they have an opportunity to be at this
Seven.
meeting.
Seven or eight.
So, yeah, that probably makes more
7
sense
o'clock.
for people that have to work.
So
I'd
I'm
say
wondering,
7-ish.
and I was thinking the same thing. 7 o'clock, does that sound too late to folks?
Some of us
Sounds
come from
fine.
a long ways away.
So 7 o'clock then it is? All right. Next Michigan Normal membership meeting will be held at 7 p.m., probably right here in this suite. And that will be on the evening of the 4th, Friday evening. Okay, good deal. All right.
4 away. Did we want to make the meeting for, in the summer at your place also, or?
Well, actually, I was going to bring that up a little bit later. The summer meeting, and of course, we haven't got to discussing that yet, as to how many times we're having a meeting. But I'm thinking of approaching and setting up this board. Okay. Next we have hash bash responsible use of booth. Who can be in the booth? How many booths are available? I know Charlie, you're in here, right? That's in charge of Monroe Street Fair?
Yep.
Okay, good deal. I think that Charlie is the one that you need to approach about booths available. As far as the Michigan Normal booth, it's going to be in its usual place down at the end of the barrier, and I'm turned around in this town, so what would that be? The west barrier, wouldn't it, Charlie?
Yes.
Right. We'll be available. The Michigan Normal booth will be right by the west barrier, and the reason for that is because this is our way of helping Charlie out in that he has to have people, but he has to have volunteers manning those barricades at all times during the Monroe Street Fair. So we watch the west barrier for him. As far as the Michigan Normal booth goes, at Hash Bash, we had a little bit of problem that Michigan Normal booth is about Michigan Normal, and it's about the Michigan Normal members, yes, but we have certain things that we want to set up on our table. We have certain things that are available for a donation, and we had a couple of members that, you know, thought they wanted to put their merchandise or their ware or something they wanted to sell on the table too, which caused confusion. People visiting in the tent, and that creates confusion too. There's certainly nothing wrong with getting together and visiting somebody you haven't got to see for a long time, but we just ask that you do it outside of the tent and away from the front of the table so that it's always available to the public and that we don't run over people as we're getting shirts out or something maybe in the booth. So I think that's enough said on that.
Could I add something?
Sure.
Yeah, me too.
Since you have to contact Charlie to see about getting a booth there at Monroe Street, maybe you might only have a couple of items or something that you don't really need a full table for. So why don't you contact Charlie and let him know that, you know, maybe you only need a half a table and you can share a table with somebody and, you know, make something out of it. And that way you're not thinking that, oh my God, I have to pay for this whole table and I only need this little space. So get together with Charlie because he'll be able to tell you if he has other people that only need a small table or, you know, just a small portion, and then you can share with them and get your word out there also.
And you know, while we're on this subject, Charlie, if you don't mind, I would like for you to explain briefly how people can contact you and maybe give a little information on the Monroe Street Fair for those that might be interested in getting a booth.
Okay. Yeah, hi, I'm Charlie Strackbein, and I organize and put on the Monroe Street Fair. We're going to have 4 bands performing between 1 and 5:30 p.m. There are about 13...
Excuse me, Charlie, could I ask you to come down front?
Certainly.
Please, everybody can hear you from behind. Yeah, right there's fine.
Okay. There are about 13 vending spaces available, and there are a few vending spaces left. We have tent spaces available for your typical tent space. They're about 10 by 10. They go for about $300 each. We have table spaces for your typical tables, about 5 or 6 feet wide by maybe 5 feet deep. Those are $150 each. Vendors supply their own tents and tables. We have advertising space available, advertising opportunities available for the 2008 Monroe Street Fair program. We also have promotional announcements and other opportunities available. To request more info, it's simply at info@monroestreetfair.com, or you can look on the website at monroestreetfair.com. As Reverend Steve mentioned, our event is very dependent upon volunteers. We need volunteers early in the morning to help unload the truck and watch barricades, and also to watch barricades throughout the day and to pick up trash. And at the end of the day, to help load the truck and to pick up trash. Also, if anybody's interested, it would help me out tremendously if I could find a vending coordinator and a volunteer coordinator. If anybody's interested in that, please don't hesitate to contact me. Again, that'd be at info at Mineral Street Fair, or just check on the website at mineralstreetfair.com. And again, I'd like to thank everybody for their volunteer help in the past. The fair is very dependent on the volunteer efforts, especially of the Michigan Normal Group. Thank you for your time. Anybody has any questions?
Prices of the booths?
The tent spaces are $300 and the table spaces are $150. And the way I arrive at those prices are I come up with the total budget of the fair, I divide it by the 13 booths, and that's how we come up with the prices. The fair is entirely nonprofit, run by Creative Recreation Inc., a nonprofit group, and nobody's paid, it's entirely volunteer. And I also would like to solicit anybody's input on how to make the fair better. Is there anything that you'd like to see new this year? Any suggestions?
How about putting an ad in the leaflet?
That would be nice. That's a great idea.
Maybe we can barter on that with for our booth space.
Yep.
We can.
How about quite a national act?
The National Act? That's something we're working towards. We're saving money towards something like that. We also have to save money for a rainy day, such as if there's an accident with the rental truck, there's $1,000 deductible, and if something happened with the rental truck, we don't have $1,000 deductible in the bank, and there are other incidental expenses that could come up. So when there is a surplus in money every year at the fair, we do bank it and put it in for a rainy day. And our surplus right now is $300, and we'll probably be applying that towards this year's fair to, well, we're not certain where the money's going to go yet this year, but you can be guaranteed we're going to be improving the fair in some way this year. Marvin?
A lot of times people come in the afternoon after the speaking is over, and they don't realize that there's something else going on, like the fair. Could we have like a sign-in sheet where people volunteer to be in the diag, like from 1 to 5, and direct people to your event?
I think that's a great suggestion, and if anybody's interested in doing that, please come on over and see me maybe before 11:30, before the Hash Bash, and I can definitely give you some of our promotional cards that we have. We print out some very nice announcements for the fair, and you can bring those over to the diag and hand those out. They're prepared by one of the top-notch artists in the city each year. And on the back, they have a little map directing people over to Monroe Street. I think that's a heck of an idea, Marvin, and that would definitely help out at the fair.
We can put something in the leaflet to tell the community.
Yeah, last year it was listed in the leaflet, and that helped out.
Do you mind if I ask another question?
Certainly.
We have actually our real nice booth that we're used to using all the time with the sides and all that. But we also do have another canopy, and maybe by a show of hands, is there anybody here that would be interested in vending next to the Michigan Normal booth at the fair? Anybody out here? Nobody out here at all?
Let's just he's gonna have a table.
Maybe Trina on the back, bud.
All right, because if you vendors can get together and you can use the canopy, you can be right next to us. You can use the canopy. And you just have to maybe split it 3 ways or 6 ways, however many people you find that you want to work. But we've got the canopy that we can let you use. And you'd be right next door to us, and we can kind of maybe make a commitment to Charlie today if you guys can pull something together so that we reserve those. We'd have 2 spots together, so that'd be pretty cool, I think.
Well, I have a comment. What about making that the other end and make the exchange that they're responsible for watching the other end in exchange for having
That is very good.
Good idea.
That would really cover both ends of your barricade. You only have barricade at each end, right?
Yeah, barricades at each end.
That would free up volunteers for you to do other things if you need done. If
Yeah.
we were watching the barricades for you at both ends.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider.
Okay.
So I've got the canopy. If you vendors are interested, if somebody takes responsibility for the canopy and then gets it back to me after the event, no problem. It's up for you to use for free.
But you still have to pay for the vending space.
Yeah.
Yes. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Charlie, have you ever thought about getting like a big circus tent? I mean, some days the weather, it's cold and rainy there. And some days, I mean, how many sunny Hash Bash days do you guys remember?
1998 was 70 degrees. I think we're due for a nice day, but you never count on it in Michigan. Yeah. We have looked into a circus tent and the prices, and the problem that we run into is the requirements for a fire lane, and there needs to be a clearance for a fire truck to get under there and maintain a fire lane.
Makes sense.
So that limits our abilities to have a circus tent. So that's a very nice idea, but
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
if we could get a variance on that, that'd be great, but they didn't go for it.
Maybe the law school will rent a space on their lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's state property.
Oh, yeah, bad
Yeah.
idea.
Maybe we just set up and not worry about getting a permit.
You'll do the jail.
They can shut it down right away if we do something like that.
How many years you been doing this?
7 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, much thanks to Michigan Normal, because it wouldn't help exist without Michigan Normal.
I definitely want to encourage you to get with Charlie if you can help him out in any way with Monroe Street Fair, and definitely I would encourage you to become a volunteer, because we all know that more hands make less work, and if he has plenty of volunteers and a volunteer coordinator, boy, we can have. And we always leave Monroe Street Fair. We always want to pride ourselves in leaving Monroe Street Fair, leaving that street block in better shape than it was before we ever moved in there that morning. So,
Thank you. Those, just to follow up on that, those are the things, amazingly enough, that the police in the city look at, is how we leave the site after we're there. The barricades, as Reverend Steve looked at, if those barricades are manned all day, they're happy. If the site's better than the way we got there, they're happy. And those are the two biggest things they look at. They don't bother us about anything else, as long as there's no fights and things like that. But we know there's not going to be anything ridiculous like that unless there's, the trouble might come from high school kids that are drinking, but it never comes from our group, So the barricades and picking up the trash, those are the two big things. Pardon?
High school kids should not be drinking.
No, they shouldn't. No, they shouldn't. But the couple incidents that happened during the last 7 years, that's where it emanated from. So, but I want to thank everybody again, and if there's any more questions, that'd be great. If not, I'd like to.
okay, thank you, Charlie. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, next item up was when we had our board meeting on December 15th, some of the board members brought up they'd like to send me to a national normal conference. I told them my feelings on it. They expressed their feelings on it. I think it would be wonderful if we could have a representative of Michigan Normal at every national conference. I think it's important because it's a state chapter. However, it's hard for me to speak on it because this happens to be dealing with me at this particular time.
So let me pick it up.
Okay.
I've been to 4 conferences, and I learned something from each and every one of them. You get direction, you get some plans on what to do in the local. The big thing is think nationally, act locally. And there's a lot of things you learn. They have different conferences, different classrooms, and sending a representative can't do anything but good. It'll move us forward. And I estimate the cost between the flight, the room, and paying for the conference itself about $1,000. But I think that if we've got the money, I think it would be money well worth investing. Anyone else got anything to say?
Do we have about 1,000 in our treasury right now?
It's a little over 1,000 now, plus we have the Hash Bash, which is our big money raiser
I gotta
Yet to
say,
come.
we haven't done a whole lot of fundraising in the past 2 years, so we really need to start fundraising and getting the treasury built up again. And I'd be for it, but we do need to consider that we constantly have to build the treasury. Get new members, contribute, and bring it in.
So the decision should be
But if
held
we have-
off until we
Maybe
have the
in
funding
July.
for it. and
Well, I'm going to
see-
start a personal fund and donate $50 right now, and make sure we get the $1,000 raised among the group of us at some point in the near future if Normal can't do it. Personal fund in honor of our buddy.
It's kind of hard, I think, to divide it up in like that, because we got that legal fund that we started, and now there's only $30 sitting in it.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, people will donate to Michigan Normal, but I don't know if they'll donate to personal issues, you know, like that. So I think it would be better off just using the general treasury. But it's only
Can
my
we,
own opinion.
Carol, can we leave it open to, I mean, say
I'd
if
be
if
for it, but
Marvin
I
wants
just
to
say-
donate $50 for that and earmark it for that,
Sure.
we can do that,
Yeah.
right? Or if
Yeah.
I want to, or whatever?
Yep, totally.
Okay.
I'd also like to get some opinions from the general membership of what they think of the idea. I mean, you might take a look at it that we're just using your funds to go party in California. But that's
what's
not...
wrong with
Yeah,
using
can
your
we all
funds?
go? Richard, bring your
You
own.
got 1,000, Bob?
Bring your own.
I guess the problem.
I'll recognize Richard.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I guess the issue is, raising funds. I'm looking at what type of marketing strategy we use to, for our cause. I know it's kind of tight times right now. What type of, I know fundraise. I know we do shirts and everything, but what type of like
Most of our
media,
money goes into our brochures and our leaflets.
Okay.
And that's about our, well, we also have maintained a post office box and what, a phone, cell phone.
Cell phone, yeah.
And we really don't have a lot of overhead.
Right.
$100 for the website here.
Well, here's my suggestion
Yeah.
about
You need it.
a website. I'll be quiet here. I would like to suggest that we put a lot of keywords in there and stress so that Google searches to pick it up and
Well,
bring our cause.
Richard, it's already the #1 on the Google search. I'm not sure how you get it
Okay,
higher.
well,
I think what Richard is saying is we need a fundraising committee. That's what we need to create, as a committee who can talk about how we can raise funds, not necessarily here at this meeting, but we should figure it out. Raise $1 million next year.
Well, this is one of the things that we are working on, and it's not on the agenda yet, but we are working on an advisory board, which I'll talk about in a little bit down the road.
we'll talk. I'm done with the PayPal button on the website.
The fundraising.
Oh, there you go. We don't have
is part
that.
of a larger-
PayPal button.
All right.
part of a larger issue of having a budget. And I think what you're talking about is building in part of the budget, $1,000 a year, to send, perhaps this year, Reverend Stephen, I suggested that it be rotated. I went to the normal conference this year on my own. It was great. I actually went to all the sessions. They're all really quite educational. And the partying's pretty good too. But that if you have a budget and you just figure, look, every year we're going to send somebody different, some chapter leader or one of the board members or whoever who can benefit from it and bring back to participate here. But that's just part of the budget. I mean, there should be a $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 a year budget eventually, some point where we're building in money for advertising, to run radio, to do whatever, to bring in more members, to change the law in different places, to do political stuff, to recruit candidates, which is something we should talk about, to target some of the bad people, publicize their records. I'm done.
Okay.
Not a good idea.
As a procedural thing, it seems logical that
Louder.
as a procedural thing, it seems logical that each year that a person would be selected to be a representative if there is going to be a representative of Michigan Normal to be going out there. Not necessarily the executive director or something like this, but just maybe it would be better to have somebody else in that particular year. But just as a part of a procedure, this is the person that would be representing us if there is going to be a representation to take place.
Well, I do like the idea, but just like Matt says, we need to get, and Carol is saying, in order to do this thing, money makes the world go around. Root of all evil. but anyway, if we keep adding to our treasury, then we can do something like this. So
postpone the final decision on it till down the road.
We
at an
will.
undecided time.
If we have the money.
Is,
Yeah, right.
is,
Basically,
when's the
we're gonna have to
convention,
fall back
what date's the convention that you're talking about? April?
In the
September,
past years, it's
October.
been April 20th until last year, they postponed it until October. And we don't know why, so what it's gonna be yet next year, it's up in the air again.
I think it'll be in the fall again.
You think it'll be in the fall?
But this
It
year
has-
it's gonna be April, so
I
that
asked Alan
means,
St. Pierre that a month or so ago, and he said September, October. And I didn't think to ask him the next question, which is where. I don't know if they decided, but I would guess in California.
Is there any way to get funding from the national for this at all? I mean,
I don't know if they have scholarships. or
This is
not.
their fundraiser.
Yeah, actually it is. This is their fundraiser.
How about, for fundraising, a raffle? Can you get a license for a raffle? Have a statewide raffle where we sell raffle tickets.
That's a good idea.
You know,
Maybe
even
that's
if-
something we could put out.
Even if it's
in
a
the advisory
50-50
board.
raffle or something, you know, get some Harley dealer to put up a Harley or something, you know.
Well, North Carolina chapter of Michigan, or chapter of NORML, raffled off a trip to the Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam.
There you go.
And they did it off of their website for everybody. It was like
I
$100.
remember that.
It was
It was
lucky
good.
winner.
It was a good thing, yeah.
It wasn't me.
It was the lucky winner.
Okay, well, listen, we're gonna talk about that as we progress, but I want to keep moving on here because I don't want to keep us too long today. The other thing that one of the other things that we were discussing was how many meetings should we have per year? Currently, we're having 4 meetings per year, and most organizations throughout the United States, they will have one annual membership meeting a year, and they'll have one board meeting a year. I kind of personally think that's a good idea for us to narrow down our meetings because it is an expense every time we hold a statewide meeting. Not only an expense to Michigan NORML, but also an expense to each and every one of us that might have to come from faraway places and get a room or what have you. But my thinking on this, and that I'm sharing with the board right now, obviously this year, because of new executive director leadership, because of the organization Michigan Coalition for Compassionate Care having the medical marijuana drive going on, we as a board decided during the year of 2007 to cancel our last 3 meetings so as, just like he stated, so as not to interfere with that organization's campaign drive and their signature drive. We didn't want to do anything to interfere with the time because it was being done in a time frame. So this is why we called this meeting now in January, this first meeting of this year. However, I'm thinking next year I would really like to see us hold our first and maybe only meeting of the year the evening before Hash Bash so that we could do everything on that same weekend. And this is this is just my idea. So something for the board to think about.
There is provisions for calling meetings at any time.
That's right.
But we, as far as scheduling one meeting per year, it doesn't mean we can't have more than one meeting.
Right.
I want to make sure everybody knew about that.
And then obviously we had our annual membership board meeting in December, which and I am so appreciative of the board that serves with me, of Matt, because it was called I think within 2-3 weeks. And we had everything done, and every one of us showed up at this meeting. And I know that's difficult during the holiday seasons because you got Christmas parties, you got shopping, you got all kinds of stuff to contend with. So the other idea I had was that our annual board membership meeting would be moved to the last part of July, and it would be a weekend retreat at my home up in northern Michigan. So, and that would be for us 7 board members in Mad Eagle. So there's something else to think about. Don.
I also like to remind the board and our guest here today that you, the members, also have some input onto what happens, okay? So if you would like to see more meetings or less meetings, you know, you need to talk to us and tell us this, okay? Because we're not a dictatorship. We're here to serve you okay? And if you would like to have more than one meeting a year, annual meeting, or if you think we should have 2 or 3 or whatever it might be, you need to, you know, talk to us and let us know this, okay? Because we're here for you, so just remember that, okay? Yes, sir.
Well, these meetings really are sometimes the only time we get together, and sometimes a lot of networking and a lot of good camaraderie and everything else, and organization building is done at these meetings. To cut it all the way back to one meeting a year is really cutting it back a lot, and it would cut back the time we spend together, get to know each other, network together. So, you know, if we want to cut it back, fine, maybe we cut it back to 2 a year or something, but just to cut it back to once a year seems pretty extreme.
Chuck, that's only our obligation.
I know, but...
But we are going to go, we're going to be at the Hash Bash all together partying. We're going to be at Dally in the Alley partying, and we're going to find other events through the year that we're going to get together and party so we don't have to work. But we're all going to be happy.
I think there's going to be plenty of work to do, but...
Yeah, so we're going to be working in the background,
but
you're only obligated to attend one meeting a year.
No, you're never. Nobody's ever obligated.
We
you know.
We are.
No, I mean the laws. You mean?
Yeah.
The law requires
So
them to
that's
meet
kind of
once
why we did it for us, so that we're all not driving all over the state of Michigan 4 times a year.
Yes, sir.
Just kind of spin off of this. The internet's a viable option. You do like webcasts, things like that nature.
We're doing it today.
We're in the process.
Yeah, we're not. More of them, to where you don't have to have everybody in one room to attend a meeting. You save on travel expenses, gas money, hotel reservations, all that kind of stuff.
But Chuck had a valid point about the networking and you getting to know one another and stuff like that. I think that's important.
And very important.
Two a year, you know. And
that's what the thing is, the camaraderie that Chuck said, and getting us together, because I wouldn't have volunteered, for the Monroe Street Parade, but I will before I leave today. All right? Because even if I would have seen it on the website, something else would have come up that I had to let the dog out, and I would have walked away from the computer and shut it down. All right, the computer is a great asset, but not everybody uses it, and things come up. And the more you see you pass the hat around, you made some money today. You put a little more money in the coffer. Yeah, and I agree. You all travel. I come from Port Huron, me and the wife today, so we travel quite a ways to be here. But you need to at least 1 or 2 meetings, if not 3 or 4, to get people together. You don't always have to be here. As long as you guys make your one meeting, if you got another obligation, you got your grandchild baby party, you can be there, or whatever you got to go, you can do your own. But as long as you make that one meeting, if we got 2 or 3 of you up here, at least we can get together. We can form something, we can do a fundraiser, and we can say, hey, this is what the next move is going to be.
Well, this is why I appreciate the input, because, and listening to Chuck, listening to you, and if it was so decided that the annual membership meeting, or annual board meeting of the year was done in July, it would make sense to have a meeting, say like in October, to present what we discussed in July to the general membership. So I like the idea of 2 meetings a year. It's just 4 meetings a year is really precedent. So, and that's a good compromise. Just cut it in half.
We can get the fundraisers together, like you said. We may all be together a lot more than what we think. But I haven't seen that happening here with us, and the fundraisers is where the money's going to come.
Right.
And we need to build on that, because without money, people ain't listening to us.
Yeah.
And I also like to add on to that, if you have any ideas for a fundraiser, or you want to volunteer for an advisory committee, to be on a fundraising committee or something, hey, you tell us, because,
Well, 420 is a Sunday. We could do a fundraising dinner or some type of event.
We should capitalize on that date somehow.
And I think what the board is saying is there only needs to be one actual business meeting a year, but there definitely should be other events. I mean, and there's Hash Bash, there's the Million Marijuana March in May, but that's, with that and 420, there's 3 events right there all close together, which is great. And we should do all of those, but we need a few others spaced around the year that are just regular routine events, I think, where we get together and socialize.
Like that Dally in the Alley is a lot.
The Dallies are
That's a whole day event where y'all come down and work together.
Board
But in-
recognizes Renee Wolf.
I have run successful fundraisers.
Renee, you want to come up in the front?
Yeah.
Does everyone here know Renee? This is my hero right here. She went to her congressman's office and lit up a joint.
Job, but somebody had to do it. And I don't know nobody that would have the balls enough to do it but me. Because I figure whatever comes down the pike is coming. And I better ready myself for it. And I think that I threw successful fundraisers that got local bands together, rock and roll bands, and played at local establishments. And we raised money. And it was successful fundraisers. They weren't real successful, but they were successful. And that it didn't cost me more than I spent to throw it. And I'm proud of that. And I feel that I could offer this wonderful group the opportunity to hone in on that resource. I mean, I could, you know, be the instrumenter of getting the bands together and throwing the fundraisers. You know, I could be somewhere in that mix. But that's all I had to say.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. People will definitely talk about the meetings as a board, and we'll definitely take your input under advisement. And that's why, again, what I appreciate.
Woman driver, watch out.
Next on the item is the leaflets, and I'd like to ask Christine to speak on the leaflets.
Right now, we've been printing the leaflets quarterly, and our return on investment, to me, is very weak in that area. We do send it out for news purposes, so everybody can keep in tune with what's happening. But as far as getting new people to join or people to pay up their dues or that, we're not really seeing the return on the investment. It costs us about $300 for printing and then another $100 to send it out. So you figure $400 a leaflet printing. You figure that's $1,600 a year. And to me, we're not getting $1,600 back from sending out the brochure. What I was thinking about was having an annual brochure, which we would send out to everybody, which would be, you know, like our regular paper copy. But then throughout the year, like say maybe the second, third, and fourth quarter, have it as a PDF file and send it to everybody on the talk list. And if somebody has a problem with opening up a PDF file or something, just let us know. I mean, because there are other portable document files out there that we could put that file into. But I think it would be better for the organization, instead of spending that $1,600 a year sending out the paper, that, I mean, how many of you really keep it? Or I'm sure there's probably some of you that might get it and not even look at it, you know. Yes?
Shouldn't that be an option when somebody joins their membership? Like, be able to say, do you have a computer, and if so, do you mind that you receive the electronic version? If not, what's your mailing address, and we'll send it hard copy, maybe cut down dramatically your print cost.
In other words, would the PDF file be available to those that don't own a computer or have access to a computer?
Well, what we would do is anybody that we would have that would not be on our email list, we would still send a copy to.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
What time of the year are you thinking of having one go out?
That would be maybe
Right before hash dash or something like that?
Well, I think we should have something that would go out that would let people know what's sort of planned for
Maybe
the
the
year.
beginning of the year,
Yeah, maybe February.
calendar in it and stuff like that.
Maybe mid-February, let people know what's going on with Hash Bash, Monroe Street, you know, Dally in the Alley coming, any other events that we might be aware of throughout the, you know, the spring, the summer, the fall, or any ideas that anybody else might send in, you know, for, you know, the happenings, we can get that in there.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Dave for all your hard work.
Yeah, Dave Light, could we
doing
ask
the
you to
leaflet.
stand up a minute?
Thank you so much.
There's Dave Light, this is our editor of the leaflet.
There's another thing. I think the leaflet also is real important to us, and we should think carefully before we reduce it.
Well, you know, here's
Well,
an
maybe
idea.
2 issues a year, maybe.
Again, we were talking about 2 meetings a year, one in April and one in October. And would be a bad idea as, again, a compromise. If we put out 2 leaflets a year, one after the April meeting and one after the October meeting,
How about
or
one
else right
before
before.
April and the beginning of the
Before
year?
April or before
Calendar.
October, yeah.
I could go for that.
Charlie Strickland? Yeah. We were talking about the brochure a minute ago, and maybe instead of doing a brochure, I had an idea to do a program before the Hash Bash for the Monroe Street Fair. And because I, for the most part, do the Monroe Street Fair, all the work ahead of the Monroe Street Fair, you know, it's mostly me. I'm not sure if I'll have enough time to do a program book, you know, some advertisements, a little history of the Hash Bash, you know, maybe some interviews or something like that. Maybe that's something that Michigan Normal might want to get involved in and do a little bit of a combination of the flyer, you know, or the brochure, kind of incorporated with a collectible brochure, not brochure, a collectible program of some sort for the 2008 Hash Bash. You can put some information about the ballot initiative for 2008 in there. And
advertising.
maybe that's just an idea I wanted to throw out there, and I have some other obligations, so I can't stay, you know, to discuss it so much. But I just wanted to throw that idea out there off the top of my head.
So you're kind of saying get more advertisers in there to
Well,
help
maybe that's
with
one
the
way
cost?
to raise some money.
I like it.
And, you know, another way to create a collectible that people might hang on to.
Yes.
There's a lot of articles in there to read, and maybe an interview or 2, and to get the word out. I think it could accomplish many goals. Just an idea of a program book that could be a collectible for people.
That's a good idea. Now, when we first started this, I was the one that actually started the leaflet. I gave it its name, and it was like a 2-page thing, and it wasn't so expensive to send out. And we had 30 members at the time, you know. But now it's been growing and growing. It's good, and I got to say, Dave, you've done such a better job than I did. and this is what we're promising our membership our people, when they join, they'll get these flyers. And I think that's the reason why we get some of our members. So I don't think we ought to cut it back too far. Richard.
Yeah, one thing I haven't heard, Normal as a group kind of sponsoring throwing a voter registration drive. There's so many people out there that aren't registered to vote. And the big line I hit them with is that, hey, you got to register for the draft, but you don't have to register to vote. And I said, hey, that's stupid. So I think Normal should consider that, Michigan Normal.
We have discussed that, actually. And we do plan a big registration. Well, actually, they pointed out that there's going to be all kind of registration drives this year in Michigan anyway by the bigger political parties. But we're going to go be in there helping them too.
You're going to get the potheads out registered.
Good luck trying.
And the health farmers too.
Yeah.
Try and get people to register to vote at Hash Bash.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, since that was mentioned, I would like to mention this, that I am really proud to be part of an organization that, according to the news, there's supposed to be all these initiatives and petitions that are going to be going on this year for Michigan There's supposed to be 7 or 8 different initiatives. And I'm really proud to say that the potheads, who usually are supposed to be the ones that lay in the back, we're the only ones that have anything turned in yet.
Really smoking it don't make you lazy.
That's for sure.
Yeah, we only turned in 10%.
Well, thank you for the input on the leaflets, and if there's no more, I'd like to move on.
I think
David?
Dave has
Yes,
something to
David,
say.
why don't you
I just want to
Yeah,
say
give us a word about the leaflets?
I do my very best to try to keep the cost as low as possible with the leaflet, and basically I react to what is asked of me. The pictures was an addition because everybody said that they wanted the pictures. And that was stressed to me that we really like having pictures.
Yeah, that was great.
You know, it has grown. It's grown considerably, and it would be even bigger if I were to edit it down, because some of the letters, as you see, get quite long with it. So I do my best to try to compress those down without taking away from the story. And I'm doing the best I can do, but if we can do something different, I'm completely open to it.
Advertising in the leaflet might make the payments sustainable.
Right, and the leaflet actually could pay for it. With advertising.
Getting
Yeah.
The trouble with getting the people to advertise.
Right, and
Well-
I did do that. I did go out to a lot of people and try to get people to advertise it. And you know, it was lukewarm reception to advertising. Basically,
I offered
put your ad in there,
$500 to
associating
sponsor
yourself
this
with
last
marijuana.
one, and it went nowhere. I said, here's $500 towards this next leaflet that did not come out, and that went nowhere. So there are people out there that are willing to advertise in the leaflet.
What do you see as the
There are
problem?
some, like I said, the
I don't know. What is the problem? I don't know.
If you advertise in the
There are
leaflet-
advertisers. Let's not make it a problem. There are advertisers that are willing to sponsor part of the leaflet.
I had no
will say
idea
I
they
can't
could
do
make
on
that
my own.
offer.
I mean, you know, it's basically a statewide thing.
How about hemp industry? Do we make it to HI, the HI?
Who was that offered
HI,
to?
Mail out to the board this fall and said, are we going to have a leaflet? I'm willing to put up money for it. But I didn't come here to start an argument. I'm trying to say there are people that are willing to put up money for the leaflet to advertise. That's all. I
think it was sort of an inaction because I think it was maybe a misunderstanding in regards to you offered, but yet we didn't get any other offers.
And while this is certainly no excuse, Greg, for the overlook, we were really strapped last year, busy. A lot of us key people were busy. And yeah, maybe we let the ball down a little bit. But that's what we're trying to do now. So we're trying, and it's well on its way, so now we're working on putting Michigan Normal back on target and making it move forward.
Yeah, when we discussed it at this meeting last year, when we talked about advertising, up then, and I sent a message to the board.
Well, I think with David being the editor-in-chief of Leaflet, I think that Dave should definitely be in charge of, and if you're willing, definitely be in charge of the advertising. So you would go through Dave, and then, of course, Dave, you go to the treasurer, with whoever pays for advertisement. And however, and we'll be making these decisions and be making them soon. And just how many times we're going to print a leaflet a year, and what time of the year we're going to print them. This is one of my goals. I've always wanted to be able to, at the first of the year, set that we're going to have such and such meeting at such and such date, and plan it out for the whole year. With emergency meetings called, yes. If we have an emergency meeting we have to call, that's one thing. But at least so that people can put it on their calendars months ahead. In October so-and-so, there's going to be a Michigan Normal meeting. Or in September, there's going to be a leaflet come out. So this is one of the things we're working on.
Did we have 3 go out last year?
3.
Okay.
Yes, we did. 3.
Well, my personal opinion is I really like the leaflet.
Yeah.
And I really like that we all get to write our stuff. And I think if we did a little more money advertising collecting, that we could still pull it off if Dave's willing to do it. And
also, Dave, if necessary, you can recruit a staff you know, to give you, to help, you know, get some volunteers and so you don't have to do it all yourself.
Well, the work I don't mind on doing the leaflet.
You're doing a great job.
I have a hard time, a lot of times, getting, people will say they're gonna send me stuff, and it doesn't come, and I contact them, and it doesn't come again, and they, you know.
I think
it's like
we
an
need,
ongoing thing, sometimes it's.
one thing you and I were both lax, or been lax on, is getting it out on a timely schedule.
Yeah.
Because if we got an advertiser wanting to advertise for a specific event, say for Christmas, he needs to know that it's going to come out at a specific time. So it's worth investing his money. And I think we might want to tighten up on that.
Well, some of it is formatting too.
Yep.
I have to format the layout expecting certain things, or expecting the things that were promised, and then when they don't show up, the whole thing has to be reformatted again. You know, pages have to be shifted, layouts have to be changed. So, I mean, there's quite a bit involved in doing that. That's why I try to give everybody the chance to send their stuff in. You know, especially if they promised it. I try to give them every opportunity to send it to me, and I usually contact people. You know,
when does the next one due? Have we decided? When's the next one due out?
That hasn't been decided yet.
We haven't decided that yet.
Okay. Steve and I talked about it, and because the last issue came out so late in the year, we decided that, you know, to put one out at the first of the year this year would be actually too soon, considering the cost.
Will it be out before Hash Bash?
I think it would be advisable.
I think we're going to be out before Hash Bash.
I think we should.
Okay, listen, we're going to move on because it's 2:46, and like I said, I want to make the meeting last all afternoon. The brochures. I want to say a word on our brochures. Obviously, the most important thing I feel to Michigan Normal, besides the members, are the brochures, because how do we get members but if we have a brochure that's out? Now, George has, for several years, headed up the brochure and putting it out, putting it together, putting it out, and I would like to thank him. George, thank you. Now, we have a lot of these left. We like to change them every year so that we have new brochures to print out or to pass out, beginning with Hash Bash, being that Hash Bash is Michigan Normal's biggest fundraiser in the state every year. So, I want to encourage you. I have about 3/4 of a case left back here at the Michigan Normal table, and this comes from my old track ministry days. For those of you that don't know what a track ministry is, it's a Christian trying to get you saved. But basically, these brochures, if you can take a stack with you, keep them in your vehicle. Every time you go to a public restroom, leave a brochure laying around. Every time you go to a doctor's office, leave a stack of brochures on the table. Even if they get, you know, you might think, yeah, they're going to get thrown away, but you know what? Sometimes they don't, and sometimes people pick them up. Whenever you're in a public place, leave a brochure laying around. It doesn't necessarily mean that you got to stand out on a street corner and hand out brochures to people walking up and down the street to get the brochures out. What I'd like to see us do is lose these brochures, these old brochures, so that we don't have any to throw away before Hash Bash. And obviously they are outdated because it lists the executive director as Tim Beck, and that's not true anymore. So we want to get these brochures passed out so that we get our money's worth out of them. Even if a few of them go in the trash can, that's okay. Another place, leave them tucked into a phone booth or by a public phone.
Leave them with your tip in a restaurant. That's what I do.
Yeah, every restaurant I go into, I always leave a brochure on the table when I'm done. And I usually lay my tip on the brochure. So.
We have a new design of the brochure. It's going to be a 4-fold instead of a 3-fold.
So please, before you leave here today, back here at the Michigan Normal table, please take a stack of brochures with you back into your respective communities and help us get them passed out so that we are, so we're waiting and ready for the new brochures that will be coming out for Hash Bash. Okay? All right, at this time we're going to bring up, before we move on, if any of you board members have anything, any issue or item that you feel you want to talk about at this point?
Are we going to do a leaflet before Hash Bash? Yes or
I'm
no?
pretty sure we are. Don't you think that we should?
I think we should, and I think we ought to get writers writing because Dave needs them.
Right. So when do we want to see this leaflet come out? Do we want to see it come
A
out
month
at hash bash
before?
time? Or
A month before, let people know the hash bash is coming.
a month before? How about David? January, February. Do you think we could put a leaflet out around the 1st of March? Okay. Do we need to, would we even need to vote on that? When's your deadline for stories and what have you if we put one out by March 1st?
Listen, I can be pretty flexible with that. I like it to be a couple weeks before the date that you want to release.
Okay.
Well, you ought to be more firm. I want it by February 15th.
You're really right down to the wire, and we've tried the deadline thing too, and that just hasn't worked.
Well, if you have to have it out by March 1st, you have to have it by February 1st, pretty much, to work with it.
I can work with that.
Okay.
And
How about
we've even
February
gone
15th?
So far as to like 3 days before it went to print. Wow. But, I mean, that's...
You don't want to advertise that.
How about a deadline of February 15th? Would that be good for you?
And everybody trying to find advertisers. And how much is it now?
That's
for
what I was going to ask. How much is it?
Okay, I didn't set these prices.
Yeah.
Quarter page ad was $25, I believe. Or excuse me, a half page ad was $25 and a full page was
A
$50.
quarter page we decided was $13.
Okay.
A half page was $25, and a full page was $50.
Okay. Now those prices aren't set in stone either. I mean, that was agreed to by the board, I believe.
Right.
We can change it.
So, I mean, we can work it out and trade with somebody for, you know, like Monroe Street for advertising there, here.
That's what I spent on ad
You know, it's not written in stone.
Okay, so we'll be...
Or
so do we
Greg
need-
wants to get in on it too.
Do we need to vote on this?
Well, not this one, the December one, because I want those Christmas sales. That's what we typically spend on an ad buy. I'm not just throwing that number out there. That's what my business spends on an ad buy typically. And I'm willing to do it for this. I'm really sorry that misunderstandings or timeliness, but it was frustrating because I wanted to advertise in this. You know?
So is the understanding clear then that David is the one to get in touch with if you want to advertise?
But it's got to come out early December. It doesn't do me any good to buy an ad buy for Christmas that comes out the first of the year.
Well, no, we would try to have that out probably around October or November because I think we just
I
said
would go
that.
for that. Definitely go for that.
So do you think those prices are good for the ads?
Somebody's coach ringing?
Yeah. For the time being, until we see how they go.
I've looked at other publications to find out what they're advertising.
Okay, so we've definitely decided then that
I mean, since you're only
March
reaching
1st, we're going to have our
166
first
people when you put it out, if you were reaching 500 people or 1,000 people, yeah, I would say that you could charge more for the ad, but since right now the reach is, like I said, you're only reaching 166 paid members.
Okay, so
You know, to charge $500 or something is...
So everybody clearly understands then February 15th is the deadline to get your, if you've got an article that you'd like to see in the leaflet. And again, David, as editor, reserves the right to either accept or reject. Don't feel bad if you or feel like you're being slighted if your article don't happen to appear in a leaflet because who knows, he might get more articles than what he's got room to print.
I haven't rejected any
that would be a first.
No, I'm not.
Well, and one thing you might consider too is if your article is going to go over one page, you might want to get with Dave because that can determine the whole layout, and you want to get with him as soon as possible on that. Because when you're setting up advertisements and then trying to lay out an article and have a follow-through for a simple place for you to simply go, you know, from page to page, that can make it a whole big deal.
Right. I play all
Since I work in his field, I know exactly what you're talking about, so...
I play with font sizes and font.
Yeah,
all
so
that stuff
you're going to want,
when
you
they get
know...
long-winded, I have to make the print smaller. But I want to make it readable at that size, so I mean that requires a lot of work.
Yeah, so you might want to get with Dave if you think that your article is going to be more than four or five paragraphs.
Deadline for submitting articles and advertisement will be February 15th. The first leaflet of 2008 will be out on March 1st. Okay?
And I'd also like to propose that we do one in October, so we just lock in 2 for this year.
Okay.
How about quantity?
How about quantity? I say our membership list plus, because obviously every dues paid member should get a copy of the leaflet. Then we should have at least for our chapter leaders in the different areas, we should be able to give at least a half a dozen to a dozen for them to be able to pass out to people in the area, in their areas respectively. It's a good advertising tool, I believe, to get more people involved and interested in Michigan NORML. To see a copy of the leaflet. I always get extra copies from you to pass out up in the north part there. Okay, was there anything else the board members wanted to bring up? Any of you board members?
Yeah, me again.
Okay, Carol.
I would suggest that we do 2 leaflets, one in March, like we're going to do for a month before Hash Bash, and then one a month before the election. So just 2 this year. How's that sound?
Yes.
2 leaflets.
With advertisements?
Yes. Yes.
So one March 1st and one October 1st?
Yeah, so it would be a month before the election.
I haven't heard a motion from any board member on that yet.
Okay, how does that sound? Go for 2 leaflets this year. I'll make a motion.
Well,
then.
before you do that,
Okay.
I was just gonna make a suggestion, instead of doing, do your leaflet in March, like we said, and in October, and then maybe in the middle of the summer or something, we can have like a newsletter, so to speak,
After
but
the
have
board
it going out, yeah, after the board meeting, and we can have it go out electronically, PDF, and
Great.
just have like a little newsletter to bring everybody up to date on what's happening, if we've heard of any new events that are occurring, or, if there's anything that we need to do to help this get passed, or anything.
If we have any members that don't have a computer address or email address, we could make enough copies of that one in the summer to mail out to just them.
Right, because you would keep the newsletter small. You would try to keep that maybe only 1 or 2, maybe 1, 2, 2 pages double-sided, so it would be 4 pages,
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
You like that idea, David?
Whatever works.
Well, I could
Whatever
take care of it, I know that was without discussing it with you, but I could do the newsletter if you're tied up, and then you take care of the leaflet.
The summer.
Yeah, I'd go for that.
Okay, so I just wanted to throw that in there before you made your motion.
Any other discussion before we
I
have a
have
motion?
just one more thing. Are we gonna have another annual general membership meeting in the fall? I know we got the one in
Let's
April.
I think we should have one
let's
after
do on the
the election.
leaflet first, and then we'll talk about the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to ask Greg, does October 1st work out for you, Greg?
Well, that's not really the Christmas sale, but I definitely will sponsor the leaflet or pay a part of it or advertise it. I'm absolutely committed to that. I want to be able to take advantage.
If you want to sponsor...
October's not going to, it's not a Christmas time yet, but that's, the bigger issue is, yes, there are advertisers that are willing to do this, to step forward and help pay for this.
Although, looking at it now, though, when you go to the store, you're hearing
That's
Christmas
right.
stuff in
For
October
Halloween,
now.
people are
For
playing.
Halloween,
buy really early.
So apparently people are
My business goes
going along
nuts
with that.
as soon as it gets cold. That's when my business
Right.
really picks up. When people are buying hats, mittens, scarves, boots, coats, whatever, that's when my business takes off. And
Maybe
I want to be
we'll
able to take advantage of that.
Do you want to go later?
Maybe we'll
in
talk
October?
about a holiday edition, and if you're willing to fund it.
Pardon me? I'm not paying $1,500, but I typically pay $500 for an ad buy, and I'm willing to do that.
Well,
here.
for us to
That's
put
what
out one issue is $400
I heard you say 16 or 17.
a year. If we
that's
do
a-
4
Oh,
issues
okay.
a year,
Well, there you
then
go.
that costs us $1,600.
Well,
And that also depends on quantity too. Because
correct.
I mean, you may absolutely depend
Might
on
be
that.
18, it might
That
be
I
14,
will
you know.
advertise. I will pay. Absolutely, it could depend on that. If I have a magic wand, but I don't, if I was the dictator of this group, but I'm not, December 1st would be when I would want it. That'd be ideal. But I'm willing,
Well, see, my thinking was, if you've got $500 you're willing to invest in this, you wouldn't even have to invest $500. And what I was thinking about was you could get with David and there could be a limited edition, or a holiday edition put out on December 1st.
Okay.
That you would take care of the cost of.
Okay.
So.
I'm willing to do that because I think the leaflets are really important.
Okay.
Well, let me suggest this, could we go later with the second edition?
Well, you want to get it before the election. I'm hearing people say they want to get it.
So we're back up to 3 leaflets, at least for this year, but with one of them, the December 1st holiday issue being taken care of, the cost being taken care of by
I
Greg.
wouldn't be surprised if you let it be known that there's going to be, at that timing, there'll be other people that will step forward. I don't believe I'm the only person that would be willing to.
Rather than do one in October, why not do one in November?
Because we want to get just before the election.
Before the election.
Well, how about,
That work, right?
I'd like to suggest if we're going to do one in March and one the 1st of December, that we back off with the first one, make it earlier, like August. You know, because if we're going to have one in December, why have an October and December?
Because I thought we wanted to get before the election.
August is still before
Well,
election.
that's a board decision, I think.
Yeah, this got to be done by committee or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we need a motion on this then?
Well, let's lock in the 2 anyway. What do you say, lock in 2, 1 for the first half of the year and 1 for the second half of the year. Date to be decided.
Right, the first one will come out March 1st, and the second one we'll figure it out, but there'll be one more.
Figure it
Well,
out.
who's making a motion?
I'll make a motion that we have 2 leaflets, 1 for the first 6 months of the year and 1 for the second 6 months of the year.
Okay.
Date decided already on the first part, date still going to be decided on the second issue of the leaflet.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion made by Carol, seconded by Lou. All in favor signify by raise of hands. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Now, meetings. Let's get that out of the way right away. We're going to have a meeting on the 4th. Do you want to go ahead and set a meeting for October now, or do we want to wait until later to set that?
I think we want to set a meeting for the middle of November so that we can celebrate.
Middle of November? Very good
Or
idea.
do we want to do some last minute prep in the middle of October? What do you think?
What do you all think?
The heavy month, the month that we're going to be involved in pushing on this election is going to be the last month.
Right.
So maybe we should meet right at the beginning of October so we can get involved in our push. All the signs, all the stuff we can do.
Right. All the brochures.
How does Saturday meetings, like the first Saturday of October, here?
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay, can somebody put that in the form of a motion?
I have to make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Don and seconded by who? George? Okay, show of hands, all in favor?
We have a time on that?
It's the first week in October.
First Saturday in October?
We'll set the time. We'll set the time. And opposed? Motion carried.
Do we
That's
discuss
right.
over at 7
Well,
o'clock?
yes, the meeting in April is going to be at 7 o'clock in the evening on Friday evening the 4th. Actually, and probably the Saturday, first Saturday of October, 1:30 is a good time for everybody?
Amen.
Yeah.
1:30 is a good time for everybody.
No
So,
bull hunting.
1:30.
You're coming all the way from Port Huron? Is that okay?
Okay.
We'll be here.
All right. Moving on then. We've been sitting for a little over an hour and a half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call just a 10 to 15 minute recess here so that everybody can get up and stretch before we go into membership question and answer time. At this time, we're going to open it up to you, the general membership, with questions and answers. A few of you approached me at the beginning, said you'd like to say a few words to the audience that is here today. One thing that I ask that you remember, that you keep your comments brief so that we don't drag on forever. I would say limit yourself to at least 5 minutes, no less or no more than 5 minutes. That way it gives everybody a fair opportunity to speak up and say their piece, okay? So at this time I'm going to open it up to you, the members, and Mike Whitty is the first one with his hand up. Professor Mike Whitty, come on up front. And that's the other thing I'd ask, that you would, if you could, come up front here and face the audience.
Just a brief announcement. The scorecard of Dennis Kucinich, Mike Ravel, and Ron Paul all getting A+s on our issue. And Dennis Kucinich is in the Metro Detroit Ann Arbor area next week from Thursday through Tuesday, the primary. He'll be speaking both in the Detroit area, Harper Woods, Troy, Detroit, and Livonia, and in Ann Arbor. I hope Chris Childs is still here.
Right here.
Okay, Chris, I'm going to call on you to tell about the U of M event, which will be on YouTube. He's expecting 500. We also have the major rally in Detroit at the University of Detroit Mercy, 6 Mile, Livernois, Northwest Detroit, this coming Friday, the 11th, with John Conyers introducing Kucinich. Conyers and Kucinich support single payer. They also support all our decrim efforts and the national federal law they sponsor for getting rid of these restrictions on states' rights around medical, which we're working on. And I have leaflets. If you didn't get some, please see me after we're done. And I want to just introduce Chris Childs, the University of Michigan Students for Sensible Drug Policy. Their group got a national award in their first year from their national convention in New Orleans, held jointly with the Drug Policy Alliance International Drug Reform Conference, which Matt Abel and I were lucky enough to attend, Chris as well. So Chris Childs from our dear University of Michigan.
Well, yeah, like what he said, Kucinich is coming to our university a week from this Monday, January 14th. He'll be speaking at 2:30 p.m. in the Natural Science Auditorium. It's very close to downtown Ann Arbor, right on Central Campus. I'm sorry I don't really have any official flyers for you guys. I'm waiting on the College Democrats to do the graphic design for that. But all the information is on our website as far as like directions and everything else. And our website is umdrugpolicy.org. And you can pick up a brochure at our table. This has the information over there, as well as the stuff that we're doing at our university. This is actually the second presidential candidate we have had come speak at our university this year, Mike Gravel being the other one back in late October. We've also been doing a lot of other things. We have collected thousands of signatures for the medical marijuana drive, as well as attended one of the Office of National Drug Control Policy's random student drug testing summits to convince the teachers and administrators that it's not only ineffective but harmful to the student-teacher relationship. We've been doing a lot of things, and I'm really glad we got that Outstanding Chapter Award. It was a very nice surprise. We were actually the first-year chapter to win that award. This chapter just started up this year. And we've just had a tremendous amount of success. I hope to continue it through with Hash Bash and all the other things going on at university. So yeah, Kucinich, week from this Monday, 2:30. Website is umdrugpolicy.org to find out more information. Thanks.
Who's next?
Could I have the floor again?
Marvin, you may certainly.
We have the carpet.
You mean eight?
First, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome Susan Sunshine. Susan Sunshine, would you stand up and say hello? Susan is a poet. She's Mother Earth. Mother Earth. And Susan Sunshine, myself, and Dr. Detroit go way back, and Paul, we go way back in the day. I'm almost 70 years old. Do I look it? Not really. But I've been an activist since the mid-'60s, and I love it. It's a way of life. I'm also a college professor. We had a really good congressman in David Bonnier, and he was one of the best. And then this guy comes in, and he's really the father of the whole free trade movement. He's the guy that he's the man behind the screen who pushed all this free trade, which is an insult to the citizens of Macomb County, the working class, and everybody's losing their jobs. This guy, no offense, he's not even, okay, he's a nice guy. I mean, I could go off on how bad he is, and I don't want to do all that because it's not really fair. They call members of Congress are called distinguished gentlemen. And he's about 10 years older than me, so he's distinguished older gentleman. So he's my dog. And I, need your support. I am putting myself out there. I have as a marijuana activist. And so how you can help me is
I need only 1,000 to 2,000 signatures. That's nothing. So this group could come into the district, which is the southern half of Oakland and the southern half of Macomb County, and pick up 1,000 signatures in one day. It's not that hard. And I'm at, and if you, Marvin420 at hotmail.com. It's easy, Marvin420 hotmail.com. I'm actually legally going to change my name from Marvin Surwitz to Marvin, because people know me as Marvin of the party. But I'm running as a Democrat. I don't know if I'm going to win. I don't know, but I'd like to, I think we could win, because we've got some fabulous ideas and campaign ideas about having rallies, and I don't want to just have rallies in the Detroit area. I want to have rallies all across the state, because I want to get people enthusiastic about the political process, get people enrolled in the party, get people enrolled in, talk more about that. But I've actually got 4 people living in my house who are working like a lot of hours every day to make this happen. And it's a lot to put together a congressional campaign. Because we can't really influence who's going to be the president. We could influence somebody getting elected to Congress. But it's not just about that. It's about having a project that we can play into as a group over the summertime, over the spring and summertime. You know, I have a large home in Mount Clemens. I have an old Victorian. I have 8 bedrooms. I have plenty of room for people to, and I have another home in Detroit. I have plenty of room for people to hang out and camp out and have fun. But I'm really committed to changing the world. I've been a college professor for 45 years. You know, so I'm an old man. I'm going to die soon. I've been around since the 60s. I got so much to teach you. We've got so much to learn, and we might as well have some fun in this election year, especially if Barack Obama. You know, I don't know who's going to be Barack Obama. He's great. They said, like in Iowa, the young people turned out like never before. They've been talking about there's this youth vote, but they've been waiting for the youth vote to turn out. This is the first election the youth vote turned out. Like 30% of the people voting were youth, which is, you know, who we are all, really, you know.
Marvin, once you're elected, we'll really appreciate that you're from the government and you're here to help us.
That was good.
Okay, folks, Matt Abel has
Speaking of politics, I've always felt that either the people in office are going to change the law, or we need to change the people in office. And those of you who know me know that I gave up on the 2 major parties 10 years ago, and that at this point I would encourage all of you to look at alternatives as well. Once someone's become a candidate in one of the major parties, you cannot in the same election then switch and be a minor party candidate. But if any of you are interested, whether it's major party or minor party, what I propose NORML do is have a political committee that looks at, let's figure out who the worst blockade office holders are, and figure out then where they are, who best would run as a candidate against them, and target 1 or 2. Let's show that there is strength in the anti-prohibition movement and make something of it. Focus ourselves in this election year. So anyway.
Mike Rogers.
Very good.
Yeah.
I
just have a question.
Can we ask you to stand up and
sure.
let everybody hear you?
I have a quick question. Well, I don't know how quick it is. Barack Obama has been coming up in the media and the votes and all this other stuff lately, coming on hard and fast. Does anyone here know exactly what his position on the war on drugs is? And I'm not talking about, you know, something that he mumbled half under his breath that he can forget about as soon as he's elected. But, you know, has he actually done anything against the war on drugs?
I can state that all, I believe there's 8 Democrats that are running for Democrat president, and all 8 out of the 8 have all said that they will end any further DEA raids. That's as far as they've taken it, outside of the exception of Dennis Kucinich, who has stated, and you can go right to his website and you'll see it right on his platform, within the first 100 hours of office, he will end cannabis prohibition if he is elected President of the United States.
Something that I've seen come up in a lot of different locations is people that, you know, 70 to 80% of the people in the United States, according to AARP, are okay with the idea of a doctor writing a prescription for marijuana. Okay? Yet at the same time, everyone that's like political insiders, almost universally, 6 months ago when I started started steamrolling on these things, almost universally said that we can't see this becoming an issue. Okay, even though 70 to 80% of the people are okay with this, they can't see it becoming an issue, which is kind of foolish because an intelligent candidate would go ahead and try to grab that 70 to 80% of the population to run with.
Well, we put it on the ballot now. So.
It's on the ballot. That's here in Michigan, and that's a good thing. But my point is that they think that it's not an issue for the political process, and that's wrong. It should be one of the number one issues out there, since it's something that 70 to 80% of the population is okay with.
Haven't our Michigan Democratic Party put medical marijuana on the platform?
Yes, that doesn't necessarily translate to action in Lansing.
Or even
no,
with the local Democratic.
A lot of times it's just noise to get another vote.
I was curious.
You look at their voting record and see, are they real?
Could be used as a wedge issue.
Bob, you had your hand up next. Bob Hepplin.
Yeah, to piggyback on Gersh's point and really Matt's point. Matt's idea is that we do exactly what you're saying, to really focus on who's blocking, who can block legislation in Michigan, and pick the person that would really do us strategic advantage in Michigan, so that regardless if you're Republican, if it's a Democrat, if it's a Green, well, it wouldn't be a Green, but if they're the key person to block and we think that they're vulnerable, then
target them.
Target them, go with the numbers, and the numbers really translate. Like you said, it's a 60% issue in Michigan. So a politician is to a politician's disadvantage, and it also is to our advantage to do exactly what you said. Just hit that person.
SSDP is also doing the same thing with Mark Sauter, who came in with the aid elimination penalty that denies financial aid to students with drug convictions. They're going to be doing something similar to that with his upcoming campaign.
It really makes political sense.
Okay, Richard Clement.
Hi, Richard Clement, and if y'all don't know me, that's me.
By the way, Richard Clement is the Director of our Minority Affairs for Michigan NORML. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Sometimes I stay in the background, end up in the foreground, but I'm still all around. But I was listening to the conversation. If you want to be honest with it, basically, in other words, we put out a report card. And we have to, like say, list every representative, every senator, say, do you, yes or no, support marijuana, yes or no? Put it right out there for the public to see. That's the only thing I want to add. But also want to introduce our new member there. I did my job. I want to let people know as a minority recruiter. How you doing, my brother over here? Okay, I forgot Nick Tyler. But anyway, our marketing campaign. Taylor. Dr. Roosevelt Taylor. All right. And, another little plot I'm working on with NORML, and what the plot I'm doing is about the historically black colleges and universities here in the United States. A lot of them have agricultural programs, okay? Every school with a farm got to direct some type of hemp fuel grant, biofuel grant to help pay for books and just, build up the colleges and, put a dent in this $3 gas. So if we can nail those, like politicians with a scorecard, with the grade book, report card, and a percentage of people within their district that support the issue, you'll watch them squirm and jump, okay? Flip and flop, they're going to come our way. Thank you. Peace.
This is good. Chuck, please. Chuck Reed. For those of you that don't know Chuck Reed, he successfully headed up the Ann Arbor initiative.
Howdy, folks. I just wanted to make a couple comments about what I see as the importance of reacting to things that come up in your community. When something happens and you see it and you know it's wrong, you can jump on it, you can react to it, you can make news, and you can change the whole impression of that in your community. A couple examples were Gersh. Gersh was arrested. He was arrested for defending his property. He was cast in a bad light by the state police, and that light could have continued through his trial, and he could have been significantly persecuted, he could still be in jail. Well, we got a group together. We sent letters, we contacted the media, we got our signs together, we had a demonstration outside the jail, we got a lot of people together on the issue, and then we got the coverage, a big picture in the paper about bring my husband home for Christmas, self-defense is our right. And we just changed the whole perception of this before the community now, and people are realizing, yeah, you don't sacrifice your rights just because you grow a green plant. Here's another, and that's a reaction to something you just see in the paper. Here is another one. The Dexter Public Schools. Dexter schools say they're going to send in dogs and police into their high school, and the kids will just love this because they'll be better protected. This is a principal who's a nut, and he shouldn't be in our community because he doesn't reflect the community values here. So I made a little presentation for him. I showed what happens when you send the cops and dogs into a school system to bust all the kids. Well, they did that in Canton a couple of months ago. And during the time, right on the same Wednesday, that they spent all their police power and organization to bust all these kids in the parking lot, they busted 47 cars. They found 4 that had anything in them, and 3 of it was a bottle of booze. And then they said it was successful after they messed with everybody and found nothing. I showed them that on the same day, these people were planning, these 2 guys were planning to kill this guy and cut off his head and throw it in the river, and on and on. So all the time the police were planning for this drug bust in the high school parking lot, these people were planning to chop up this other guy's head and mutilate him and throw it in the river. So this is the kind of police protection that we get and the kind of prioritization that we get. And I think I could really swing this one around too, okay? And then, so I really want to point out you got to react. And now that I'm retired, they can't get me anymore. And I can react now until they kill me. But until they do, I can fight back every minute of every day.
There's a new TV show coming out in February, located on location in Detroit. And the name of the TV show is The DEA.
On
location. On location.
Oh, crap.
So we need to get in those shoots and
Just
hold up our signs.
throw that out and let you know that.
You need to show up at those shoots and with the signs, you can find out when they're doing their shoots.
I'm shooting for a guest shot.
Okay, everybody done? Everybody had their say? I'm not missing anybody, am I? Because I can't, I'm a little hard of seeing, so if anybody's holding your hand up back there, jump up and down so I can see movement. Okay, well then we're going to move on. Thank you very much, each and every one of you that stood up and had something to say. I appreciate it. And I want you to know that we as a board, we're always sitting here, we're listening. This is how we know how you want things to go and how you want things to run. Okay?
Explain what's going to happen.
Because doesn't Adam have to get the license?
Yeah, which he actually didn't get last year, or any sound equipment, which we will, I can guarantee, get. I'm not going to organize it under SSDP, I'll organize it under normal, the university, and hopefully from then on we can have a normal chapter running from the years on after that, and continually working on Hash Bash.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, if you guys want to help out at Hash Bash at all, come to me. I mean, I don't want to, state that I'm the final authority on this or anything, but I mean, Adam Brooks not here. He wasn't at the meeting the night before Hash Bash, and I mean, I think it's time I'll still work with Adam, but someone needs to be on site. I'm at the school. I have the student base. So if you'd like to help out, talk to me. My contact information is on our website and everything, or just come talk to me in person after this meeting.
Isn't there going to be a meeting about the Hash Bash?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I already set up a date for a pre-Hash Bash planning committee. It's going to be January 22nd, and I'm going to try and have the people in my group advertise that. I'll try and get it published in a daily, do what I can to try and pump up the hype as best I can, and come out maybe with like a new image for Hash Bash, really, because it's just dying and it needs something to revive it, and we're going to try and advertise as best we can a new hash bash, whatever that may be, and something like that can be discussed more at the planning committee.
Where's this meeting and when?
January 22nd at 8 p.m. It's on campus in Mason Hall, room 3302. That information will be posted on our website pretty soon, and I'll send out an email to the Michigan Normal Talk list, shortly. If you guys have any thing to say about hash bash you'd like to?
What year are you in?
I'm a second year student.
Yeah,
Cool.
keep it going.
Yeah, and I mean I'm trying as best I can to make sure it's going to be continually working. I mean I focused on just having SSTP started up this year because me and a few other friends were thinking of trying to start normal and SSTP at the same time, but we decided it was just best to put our resources into one. But I mean, my senior year, I'm not going to be the head of either of these organizations. I'm going to be working on the sidelines, working to make sure those leaders that are in place then are doing their jobs and set in their position so we can continue after.
I don't know if it's you or Adam, but I'd like to speak with this year's event.
Okay, well that's something we can talk about after. There's many people interested, I know, and I do want to incorporate people in this community to speak, so that we can discuss at the planning committee, the first planning committee meeting and everything. But thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Okay. All right, thanks, Chris. As far as vendors, table manners, which is next on the agenda, I would encourage anybody to talk to Charlie after the meeting, who's in charge of Monroe Street Fair, in regards to the relationship to vending tables and what have you. But brochures, again, I remind you, we have 3/4 of a box left back here at the Michigan Normal table. Please take as many as you feel you can get passed out. I would really like to not take any home in that box because I have still plenty up home. So if we empty that box today, that'd be wonderful. And don't take them home and set them on your shelf and forget about them. Keep them with you and pass them out. Let's really make an effort to get them passed out between now and Hash Bash. Okay. Let's see. Dally in the Alley. Tamara's not here today. Others.
I think I'm going to take that over if you don't mind.
Dally in the Alley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, try and secure that date.
I think that would be great.
I think it would be great too. And, so you'll handle that. Anybody that lives down here in this area that wants to get with Carol and offer your help or expertise, I'm sure she'll be more than happy to have. And if there's nothing else, before I get a motion for closing.
What is the Dally in the Alley?
Oh, Carol, explain Dally in the Alley.
Boy, I'm the worst one to explain it because I'm brand new at it, but I
It's
really,
a hell of a
really
block
like it.
party in Detroit.
Yeah, I go all by myself into the heart of Detroit, and I have a lot of fun. And
Very courageous.
They have like these alleys that are blocked off around Wayne State University, and it's very many blocks, and you wander through the alleys. There's vendors all over that are like us, and very open to us. And we have our booths set up, and people stop in and tell us stories and join up, and we sell merchandise there. But it's only a one-day event on a Saturday, and I think it's usually the Saturday after Labor Day. And it's really, really cool. The weather's nice. Everybody's friendly,
Beer and good
and you're
food.
in Detroit, so you don't have to freak out so much about some things. So that's what it's all about. So we always have a booth there, so we'll have that there again this year, I hope. Okay.
Okay, before we close, I do want to single out a few people that are in the room. We have Greg Francisco sitting back here. He is our webmaster. Without him, Michigan Normal Talk, Michigan Normal News would not be
run much smoother.
possible. Greg, stand up here. And everybody, Greg Francisco. I want to also thank Greg Piasecki. I'm going to get it right yet. Greg Piasecki, Mike Evans, the Oakland County Normal people for They had planned on putting this out live on the internet today. However, there is a problem with the wireless hub, I guess it's called. I'm not real computer savvy, but there's a problem in this room with the internet hookup. So Greg has recorded it, and if anybody wants a recording, all they got to do is see Greg. Thank you very much, Greg and Mike, for all your hard work and all your hard efforts. When I look out over the crowd, there's so many, and I know I could miss somebody. I appreciate Bob Heflin, my friend from Acme. He comes down, rescues me every once in a while, takes me out to the Fusion over in Frankfurt for a good lunch. All my board, I so much appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate Matt for keeping us legal schmeagle. And every one of you that came out today, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. In that respect, I think that I know somebody asked me to close with a prayer, but I don't think that's appropriate. This is Michigan Normal Organization. We're made up from all walks of life. I'm not going to close with a prayer. I am going to, I think I've said my thank yous for everybody being here is enough. I will say this. I'll give you a little benediction. May you walk out of this building with peace and love filling your hearts, and with the confidence that you are not criminals. Hold your head up high. Do all that you can in your own communities. Go back forth. Go back into your own little communities, and don't expect somebody else to do it or Michigan Normal to do it. Do what you can do, because you, as one individual, can make all the difference in the world. That's what grassroots is all about, baby. So that's what I leave you with. Go out of here with peace and love in your heart and confidence that you are spreading the truth about the cannabis plant. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. Thank you, everybody.